Hello, hello, my dears, and welcome to the Manifest Your Soulmate Masterclass. I'm so excited to be here. I am Emerald Sinclair, love and relationship coach, and I will be your guide on this journey. So as far as how tonight goes, we have 2 hours together, which in my mind is actually not a long time. It's going to go by really fast. So it's really important that you have your journal, have your pen and paper, so that if you don't get to finish an activity, you can circle around to it later. You can make a note. And there are certainly going to be stuff that we'll be doing together that you just don't have enough time for, or you're feeling stuck, or you're just not really ready to go there. And these things come up. And so do your best to breathe through the process and trust in the process. It's something I have crafted and developed working with hundreds of clients. Now, I know I promised you we're going to try to squeeze my 8-week program of coaching into 2 hours, which is, let's be real, unrealistic, but I'm going to do my best. Towards the end of the masterclass, of course, you are welcome to join me onward beyond this, and I'll tell you how we can do that. But for the meantime, if you have any questions as we're going along, feel free to raise your hand. Feel free to type them in the chat box, especially when we get to the points where I'll ask you to share, to open up. Please do so, because we all learn from each other. So your struggles are my struggles or someone else's struggles. And some of the most beneficial things I have heard my clients get from calls like these, masterclasses like these, is the sharing of other people and the, oh my God, I had that issue too. And so please don't be shy to raise your hand, to ask the challenging questions, because you might be surprised at how helpful it could be for someone else. Now, important before we begin on a journey like this, and myself as a yoga instructor, I actually like to set an intention before all of my classes. I find that it just helps to ground us, to center us, to bring us all together in our circle. And the great thing about an intention is it doesn't matter if you're with us here tonight live or you're watching the replay, that intention still stands. It is still grounding us all here together, whether you are days and weeks in the future or right here, right now. And so we'll set 2 different intentions. The first one is going to be your intention. What is your intention that you have for tonight? And take a moment to think about it. When you come up with your intention, write it down, and perhaps even write it in the chat box, because I've found that when we share our intentions, just like when we share our desires, it makes them more powerful. No longer are they just kept to you in your mind, but you write them down. You type them into the box. Like, we can see them, we can put energy into them as well. And if you're watching the replay, you can share your intentions in the Facebook group. You can share your intention with me in an email. So there's a lot of power behind the sharing of your desires, which we'll get into later on this evening. So first things first, what is your intention for tonight, for this class, for this 2-hour journey that we will take together? So find that intention. Write it down for yourself. Type it in the chat box if you want us to also put our energy into it. And I will share with you my intention for tonight, because I absolutely have an intention for tonight. And maybe this will help you inspire yours. So my intention for this class is to allow you to see the blockages that you have against love. And not only that, to allow you to shift your energy into the receiving mode of your desires, so that not only do you see where you're blocked, but you shift into the energy of receiving what you want, so that indeed what you want can come to you. So that's my intention for you, whether you are with us live or watching the replay. Yes. All right. Cindy wants to be with an amazing, tall, Latino, Spanish-speaking man, no kids, and be together in an amazing relationship. I love it. One suggestion I would make to that is always have your intentions or affirmations be in the positive. So instead of no kids, maybe it can be single, amazing, tall, Spanish man, Spanish-speaking man, We're gonna have to work on that. I was gonna say who wants to be a father, something along the lines, because here's the thing, when we focus our awareness on what we don't want, and even just that simple act of no kids is putting energy and attention towards kids, right? When you say don't think about a purple elephant, you think about a purple elephant. So chew on that. We'll get into that later as well, but just be really cautious of what you ask for, because if you're not clear in how you ask it, a lot of times you can get what you don't want. Okay. Pratima, my intention is to be clear with who I want and what is blocking me. Awesome. Simple, to the point, perfect. And we'll dive into that today. What is blocking you from what you want? Because let's be real, ladies, if there was no blocks, you would have what you wanted. Simple as that, right? You would already have it. So let's figure out what those blocks are and let's get clear on what you want so we can make that space for what you want. All right, if you are just joining us, we are sharing our intentions. We're typing them into the chat box because it's oh so important to put our intentions out into the world of what we want and share them with each other so we can all put energy into them. So feel free to type that into the chat box. Now, we have our intentions. I've set my intention. We have this amazing safe space where you can open up and share whatever it is you want. You can type it in. You can raise your hand to come on camera or not on camera and actually speak and share your words. And so to ground us all together, we'll start with a very simple guided meditation. So allow yourself to get a comfortable seat. If you haven't already done so, now would be the time to make sure your phone is off or on silent and put away, because this time is for you right here, right now. Close your eyes. Find a very comfortable seat. Take a deep breath in and open mouth exhale. Let's do that again. Take a deep breath in and open mouth exhale. Now focus on your breath. Just notice the rise, the fall of your belly. If your eyes aren't yet closed, please close them, allowing yourself not to be distracted by the outside world. And as you focus on your breath, I want you to imagine that with every inhalation, you allow yourself to sink deep into your heart space. Just a simple visualization. Perhaps you're walking down a flight of stairs, deeper and deeper and deeper. Or maybe you're on a spiral slide, going deeper and deeper and deeper. Regardless, with every inhalation, allow yourself to sink, to become more relaxed, to let go of your day, and to be fully present to this moment. Now, perhaps place one hand on your heart. So now your mental awareness and your physical awareness is on your heart space. And just feel your heartbeat in your chest. And this is the space I invite you to be in today. Allow your heart to be your guide, not your ego, not your mind, not your fears. But as many times as you can tonight, allow yourself to sink down into your heart space, down into the awareness of what your heart truly desires, and allow your heart to speak. Take a couple more deep breaths here. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. All right, my dears. So, as you know, we have a 4-step process that we are going through tonight. First bit is to prepare ourselves to open up and receive love. Second bit, to release old patterns and allow ourselves to align with a high quality match. Third, master the attraction process. And fourth, get ready to manifest love. All right, are we ready? Let's jump on in. So I hope you have your journals with you, because the first bit is going to be a journaling exercise, and then we'll open it up for discussion. So when we talk about step one, the preparing yourself to attract in your great love, the first bit that's oh so important is actually knowing what it is you want, because we have all of these societal pressures on us that we should want a certain thing, we should want a certain match, we should look a certain way. Right? Our parents think we should be with a certain person. We should be making a certain amount of money by now. We should be married by now. We should have kids by now. Like you could should yourself to death, truly. But the first bit is allowing yourself to get really clear on who you are and what you want. Truly, the hell with everyone else, because this is your life and these are your desires. And allow me to be the first one to tell you, if you've never heard it before, everything you want is perfect. Like there is absolutely nothing wrong with what you want. What's wrong is when we don't take the time to honor what we want because we're A, too scared to, or B, don't think we're worthy of it, or C, think we should want something else. So tonight, I am giving you the space, the permission to open up to what it is you truly do want so that you can create space for it in your life. So the first exercise, you're actually going to journal for 5 minutes. And I'm only going to give you 5 minutes because we have a lot to get through tonight. But I want you to journal on, if you could have it all, what would it look like? And I want you to journal along the lines of life and relationship. So I want you to open the doors of your imagination and journal everything. So if you could have the perfect life, I'm going to set my phone timer, what would it look like? And if you could have the perfect partner, what would he or she look like? What would you be doing together? How would you feel when you were with him or her? So this is the very first step to allowing yourself to have what it is that you want by knowing what it is that you want. So grab your journal, grab your pen. I'm starting the timer. You have 5 minutes to allow yourself to be creative, to dream, to listen to your heart. At any moment, you of course can just close your eyes and drop into your heart space and say, what do I want? Or you can use the power of your imagination and visualization and allow yourself to just see. So if you haven't yet started, please start. Allow yourself to dream. Now this list right here, this journaling exercise, you don't have to share it with anyone. You don't have to share it with me. But the point is to truly be honest with your heart, with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? So we're about halfway through. No rush, like truly all aspects of what it is your heart desires. We can talk about money, career, travel, house. So it's not just the soulmate, but it's all aspects of what you truly desire to have in your life that are just as important. Your significant other is just one little aspect of an amazing life that you love. We have just over a minute left. Hopefully, you're coming up with some good things here. If you're feeling blocked, that's actually okay. We can talk about that. Some people have a really challenging time allowing themselves to visualize or to dream because they were never told that they can want more than what they have. I'll be right back. All right, take this final moments to just finish up that stream of consciousness, whatever it is you were writing about. This is Sasha, by the way. She was asking to be let in. All right, so who is here on the call? Would anybody like to share? Either raise your hand or just comment in the comment box and I will unmute you. And you don't have to share everything, but perhaps a couple of highlights. As I said before with the intention, it's very powerful when you share what it is that you want and not just writing it down, but speaking it. Speaking is a different vibration than actually writing down what you want. Although, on a side note, writing down what you want is actually a very, very important, powerful step in the process of creation, of manifestation. So, would anybody like to share? Come on, work with me here. I'll call people's names.
Hello.
Hi, who am I talking to?
Michelle. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Michelle. I can hear you just fine. How are you, my dear?
I'm well, thanks.
Yay! So I know you jumped on a little bit late. You are
I
more than
apologize.
welcome. Oh, that's totally fine. Actually, a lot of people are jumping on late or catching the replay. If you want to share your intention first so that we can all support you in that, that would also be great.
So my intention for love, you mean?
Intention for love, intention for the call tonight. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I want to get in touch with myself and I want to manifest my love, my soulmate.
Perfect. I love it. We'll do that tonight. We will help you get in touch with yourself so that you can manifest your soulmate.
Right.
So tell me, what came up for you in the journaling exercise as far as what your perfect life would look like?
So we're very happy. We are very happy. We talk to each other about everything. We travel. We actually love being in love. Um, we're very grateful for each other, and we're both highly skilled, very educated, and we're very involved in the community. Um, and we compete with each other to impress each other and to shower love on each other. So we actually
Mm.
compete with each other to, outdo each other.
Yeah. Who can love the most, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I like that. And how did you feel throughout the exercise when you were writing this?
I'm shaking.
Like shaking in a good way
In
or?
a good way. It's like so much energy. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yes.
It's a lot of
Perfect.
energy.
Well, and it is. And when you manifest that,
It's a little scary actually,
why is it scary?
because it's so much. It's positive energy, yes, but it's a little scary because I guess a part of me is not sure. Is it okay to feel this? Is it
Yeah.
okay to feel this? You know what I mean? Like it's a little frightening.
Sure. Absolutely. And you bring up a good point that we'll get into in step 2, releasing old patterns. So as stuff like this comes up, where on one hand you realize, I'm so excited, I'm trembling. And then bam, an old fear comes up of, is it right to want this? Is it right to feel this? Like what's going on here? And so that's actually a really wonderful indicator of something that we can dive in deeper with you, especially in that next step of the process that we're going over tonight. But long story short, the feeling, the excitement, the shaking, that's what I want you to tap into. And when we get deeper into steps 3 and steps 4 tonight, the feeling is going to be a very important process of manifestation, of putting yourself into the mode of he's already there, which is what I think is coming through right now in your body, why you're so excited, why you're shaking, because you're allowing yourself to feel what that would feel like.
Okay.
So allow it to come through. If you need to shake, cry, scream, it's all completely normal. They are emotions that are coming through you and they just need to be expressed.
Okay.
I love it. Amen, sister. I am here to support you in realizing that vision.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to put you back on mute.
Okay.
Okay. Pratima typed some stuff in. I'm going to share out loud because I think it's so important to continue to put energy into our intentions. So more time spent traveling, less scheduled working hours, making time for each other, working together, doing charitable work, having fun, allowing for less seriousness. Ooh, that's a good one. Doing simple things like having breakfast, reading the paper, discussing world events, going to romantic cities and countries, just enjoying experiencing a new culture, walking, holding hands, intimate dinners. Okay, same question for you. How do you feel, right? Because I feel a certain way when I read that. I can see it in my mind. It feels just so like French kiss lifestyle. Ooh la la. It feels really good in my heart. So how does that feel for you? Like to hear me read it back to you? Like what are the feelings and emotions that are coming up for you? But also similar when I was chatting with Michelle, what's the opposite that comes up, right? The, oh my God, do I deserve this? What are the blocks that come up as well?
Can you hear me, Emerald?
Yeah. Oh my God, I can
Okay.
totally hear
Sorry, I
you.
wasn't sure if you could hear me or not, but so this is Pratima. So hi, everyone.
Hi.
In terms of what I'm feeling, I'm actually feeling like when I heard you reading that back, and even as I was typing it after I'd written it out as well, there is a feeling of like a lot of heat rushing to my face and through my body, kind of getting a little sweaty, a little, I
Yeah.
think, nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I also have that little voice in me saying, who do I think I am?
Mm.
You know, like to deserve this or to want this, or it on one hand, it feels like it's totally possible because I don't think it's anything that's so really out there. But at the same time, for me, because I haven't experienced it like that, I also still have this feeling of like, you know, do I really deserve it?
Awesome. And this, I want you to write that down and circle it because we're going into that later. One of the most common things that is going on underneath the surface for so many of us is that, do I deserve this? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy for this. And so you're not alone, my dear. And we are going to jump into that, especially if like that little voice is specifically saying, who am I? to
It's
want
kind of
this.
funny though, because along with the little voice, I am still getting the kind of giggly feeling.
Yes, yes, because that's your heart.
Excitement.
That's your heart speaking. That's truth. That's source energy. That's the love energy that we all are that says you deserve this. The little voice is your ego. That's your BS belief systems that you've created through society. So this is all perfect because we have both of these sides at all times. And what we're really going to dig into tonight is, where are you putting your energy and your focus? Is it on the, this is what makes me excited and oh my God, the little girl in me wants this, or the, oh God, who am I to want this or deserve this? I've never gotten anything like this before, so I should just stop wanting it because I'm probably not going to get it and I'll end up being disappointed, right?
Yeah.
So this is great. This is awesome feedback. We're going to dig into this more. So well done, you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to put you back on mute.
Sure.
Okay, Cindy typed in, lose 30 pounds, feel his love for me, and that he truly cares for me. We live in Montclair, somewhere in Bergen County. I don't know where that is, but you must know where it is. Happily married couple with 3 kids, travel as a couple and a family, work as an HR exec, have glass shower doors in our house. Those are nice. Fireplace, nice car, being an ultimate power couple and being comfortable with one another. Awesome. This is also paints a really nice picture of, this is how I see my life happening. Now, one thing which we'll get into later tonight, which is also important to notice, is we create these pictures of what we want. And at the same time, it's really important to remember to remain open. And I'll give you some examples tonight of clients I've worked with that wanted this, but they had their blinders on. And so they were missing the perfect puzzle piece to their puzzle because they thought it had to be a certain way. So it's not like it's counterindicative, because it's important to have the broad strokes of, this is what I want my life to be like, because it's allowing yourself to imagine, to dream, to get into that feeling sense of what it is that you really want. But the important part with truly manifesting the love of your life, and I can tell you from my own experience, is he's everything I wanted. He's nothing I wanted. He's more than I wanted. Like it's everything at once. It's not what I expected, let's just say. So Cindy, same question for you. How did you feel when you were writing that, when you were journaling, when I read it back to you? Like, what are the feelings that are essentially coming up? And as women, even though I had some men sign up for the call, it's interesting, it's just women here tonight. As women, we can, like, our feelings are very powerful and we'll use them to our advantage.
I get really excited, right?
Yeah.
When I think about it, and I almost get like emotional, but just as excited and emotional as I get, I think about, when is it going to happen? And I want, like, I just wonder when.
Yeah. Yep. And you're not alone there either. You guys are all so great. I love everything you're bringing up. Okay, Cindy, we're going to get into this tonight because that's one of the biggest things that trips people up, especially those that are savvy on manifestation and law of attraction. They get caught up in the when. Well, it hasn't happened yet, so it's never going to happen. And when you get caught up in the when, you're no longer in that pure energy state of creating what you want. Now you're over here in lacklandia, which is, I don't have it yet. When's it going to be here? I don't have it yet. When's it going to be here? I don't have it yet. When's it going to be here? And you're in the completely wrong frame. Essentially, now you're stuck in your ego. You're stuck in your fears, right? So this is so beautiful. And I'm glad you brought that up. So we'll work through that tonight, because getting caught up in the, I want it, but it's not here, is one of the biggest things that blocks so many people, because it truly is as simple as you're putting your awareness and your focus on what you don't have instead of the excitement of what it is that you want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So instead, we're going to focus more on that excitement. So all of you are talking about the excitement that you feel when you read it. And that's where your power lies, especially as women. We have emotions. We create from feeling. We create from emotion. And so we want to use that as our power tonight and many, 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 many moons after our time here tonight. So I'm going to put you back on mute. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next step in the process of truly getting clear on what it is that you want And if you've done this list before, you're going to have to humor me because we're going to do it again. So we have our Prince Charming list that we're going to craft here together tonight. And any men watching the replay, you can call it your Princess Charming list, or it doesn't matter if you're gay or you're straight. This is just your Prince or Princess Charming list. Now, the mistake that a lot of people make is, and I'm actually dividing this into 3 lists for you, but the mistake that a lot of people make in the dating world or when they're single is they are flipping the list backwards. And so, for example, I was working with a client, Trish, and similar to what we all just did here tonight, we made this list of what we want in life in general. And Trish had a really clear picture that he was a Jewish banker making over $200,000 a year living in the Upper West Side in New York. Now that's fine. But she was so narrow-minded onto that he had to be that, she was completely missing so many amazing men in front of her because they didn't fit her very narrow view of what her Prince Charming was. Now, those items I just said to you, those are on her Prince Charming list, but they're actually on the 3rd list. So the 3 lists we're going to create tonight, and it's not going to take any more than 5 minutes, and it's something you can continuously add to as you go on. The first one is your non-negotiables. The second is your heart's desire. The third is the icing on the cake. So the non-negotiables is truly the stuff that he wouldn't make a second date. So if it's really, really important to you that he doesn't have kids, then once again, we word in the positive, you're going to have to word it maybe single. God, this is a really tricky one for me. I can't believe I haven't come up against this before. Like, how do you word it in the affirmative that he doesn't have kids? If anybody can think of it, type it in. Or let's say, for example, I don't smoke. So for me, he would absolutely have to be a non-smoker. And so when I was making my list, I would word it along the lines of cares about his health and wellness, super cares about his body and physical health. Because let's be honest, if someone cared about their body and their health and wellness, they're not going to be a smoker. And that's why I'm not a smoker. Maybe your dad was an alcoholic, and so drinking alcohol is a non-negotiable. And so instead on your list would be sober, right? So your non-negotiables is the stuff that is truly, he won't make a second date. Like, you could never ever be with someone that does X, Y, and Z, or is X, Y, and Z. And this list really should be your shortest list. Second list is heart's desire. And that is the biggest part of your list. That's the stuff you share with your girlfriends, the stuff you want to share with a life partner. So if you're really into music, it might not be a non-negotiable that he's just into as much into music as you are, but it's probably going to be in the heart desires list that he likes to go to concerts and shows. Or maybe heart's desire is he plays the guitar because you're a singer and you could perform together, but it's not a non-negotiable, right? You're not weeding him off the list of possibilities. So these are going to be items that would make a really rich life together. Now, the icing on the cake, this truly is the superficial stuff. This is the tall, dark, and handsome. This is the make $200,000 a year or self-made millionaire. Because let's be honest, we're talking about feelings here. And if he meets everything on your non-negotiable list and 80 to 90 or 100% of your heart desires list, if you met this man and he treated you like a queen and you laughed and laughed and laughed with him and you had amazing sex and you talked till 4 a.m, but he wasn't taller than you, I would wager that you would allow yourself to be head over heels and just not care that he's not taller than you. And so putting the list into these 3 categories is going to be helpful, because now you have a completely different way of viewing your dates. And so when I was working with Trish, who, by the way, is with an amazing man who's bald, she was completely blinders on to all these great guys because she was looking at the icing on the cake list. Like, he's got to be tall, dark, and handsome and make all this money. When that's not true, because if you meet tall, dark, and handsome that makes a bunch of money, but he doesn't treat you well and you don't have anything in common, oh yeah, and he smokes and drinks and has 5 kids, then it's not going to matter. You're not going to get anywhere. So the whole point of this exercise is for you to really learn what your priorities are. And not only that, from this day forward, whenever you meet a potential life partner, and that's what we're talking about here, a potential life partner, your job is to interview them and make sure that everything on your non-negotiable list they meet. You should know by the end of the first date if they meet all the items on these lists, or else you're wasting your time and you're potentially wasting his or her time before you'd even make it to the second date. Ooh, okay. Pratima says, in regards to no kids equals maybe share the excitement experience of having children for the first time with you. Yes, that's beautiful. Well said. So for those of you that want to share the excitement experience of having kids for the first time with your partner, that's a wonderful way to word it. Now you got to dig deep into your heart. Is that a non-negotiable or is it a heart's desire? Because if it's a non-negotiable, then you have to stick to your guns and you're not going to go out on a date with a man with kids. But if you could be stepmom, or you would be flexible if his kids were over 18 and grown and out of the house, as long as you didn't have to be stepmom, right? Like they had their own mom. Or in the case of, would you consider a man that was a widow? You know, there's all these different scenarios where are you sure non-negotiable is no kids? Or is it a heart's desire list? So spend about 5 minutes and pull out your pen and paper, and hopefully you've never done the exercise in this way before, and just start getting really clear on what are your red flags, or not even red flags, what are your boundaries? What are your non-negotiables? And this is for you. This is for no one else. It's, you know what you truly want in life and you deserve to have it all. So, you know, let's keep beating the dead horse. In the case of no kids, if you truly, 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 truly like, I don't want to be stepmom, I don't want to raise someone else's kids, that's perfect. Then put on the non-negotiables list, and don't you dare go out on a date with a man that has kids, no matter what. Period. So take a couple minutes, write your list. And if and when anyone feels like sharing, you can unmute yourself and tell me what's on your list. Ooh, and back to the when, Pratima says, I always wonder why it's so easy for everyone else, even though I also realize I don't want their relationships either. It's a good point. Some people have no problem getting into relationships, but is it truly serving their higher self? Is it truly serving their higher good? I mean, anybody can truly get in a relationship, but if we're talking soulmate level relationship, and I called this masterclass Manifest Your Soulmate for a reason, not manifest Mr. 80% or Mr. So-and-so or Mr. Good Enough. But if we're talking about the connection of two souls, then it means you have to do the work yourself. You have to become your own soulmate and ready to be that match. Yeah. Cindy says, I truly believe it hasn't happened yet, because when it does, it'll be nothing less than amazing. It'll be my soulmate meant for me. Exactly. Because here's the thing, in the grand scheme of life, when you meet your soulmate, we're talking about life partner, which means you also need to be ready. He also needs to be ready. And so the entire time you're working on getting ready for him, he's working on getting ready for you. And that's not something you rush. Some people happen to meet their soulmates when they're 18 in high school. Some people when they're 70. And there's just no way of knowing when it's going to happen for you. And hopefully by the end of tonight, you'll realize that more of the journey should be the enjoyment, not the when are all my desires going to manifest, and getting caught up in that impatience, because that's not fun. But the sooner you can truly learn to let go is when it happens. And I can tell you, with every single one of my clients, he or she meets the one when they let go. And they're having so much fun working together with me and focusing on their lives and what makes them happy, and really unraveling who they are and the desires of what they want, and filling their life with all these pieces that make them happy. That's when it happens. Not when they're, sitting here tapping their toes. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? I'm so amazing. Where is he? That's not when it happens. It's when the woman is so busy just really filling her life with all these amazing activities, and also working on her BS belief system, stuff that's in the way, to having what she wants, that's when it happens. So, opportunity to share. Would anybody like to share some of the things on their list, non-negotiables, or maybe something surprising that came up for them that they thought would have been a non-negotiable that isn't, or vice versa? Like this is the fun stuff to dig into for sure. Don't everybody raise their hand at once. All right, Cindy, go.
Okay. My non-negotiables, I feel strongly about.
Okay.
I think I said it already, but I'll say it again. Latino, he speaks Spanish, has to be tall, and wants to have kids with me for the first time.
Awesome.
Heart's desire, responsible, nice, down to earth, great sex, and is smart.
Mm-hmm.
Icing on the cake, if he was fit in shape, but I'll take a gut. I'm open to it. Okay.
Maybe you go to the gym together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. And it sounds very clear. Like you're very strong in, yes, these are my list. This is what has to be.
Yes.
And if I can pull in just a little bit of our email thread earlier today before this call, how are you feeling now about that potential date that you were maybe going to have tonight?
I'm glad that I didn't go, because a part of me wanted to go, but at the same time, I know that if I would have been on that date right now as we speak, in the back of my mind, I would have been thinking about, this really isn't going anywhere. Because I know that he has 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, Latino like I like.
Does he speak Spanish?
It's just totally different route that I'm not really open.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I was going to say, does he even speak Spanish?
No. He's
So,
Caucasian. So
3 out of your 5 non-negotiables he doesn't meet. And I would hope this would be an eye-opener. I was doing the same thing with another client, Rachel, and the current guy she was dating, we did this exercise and we realized he only met 2 out of the 5 non-negotiables on her list, in which case, why are you still dating this guy? You know it's not going to go anywhere. You're going to feel unfulfilled for a very long time until one of you finally gets the courage to break it off. So instead, we can nip it in the bud by truly understanding these are your desires, these are your non-negotiables, and they're perfect. So now it's time for you to honor them and to not waste your time with anybody who doesn't meet them.
Right.
Sound good?
Yes.
And I'm so glad you're on the call tonight instead of on that date.
Me too. Me too. Thank you.
Good. All right. Anybody else want to share some of the items from their list? Going once? Going twice? Don't be shy. This is a safe space. Share what you want and it shall come to pass. And maybe we even have some comments on it too.
Hello?
Yes. Michelle?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the non-negotiables are cares about health, sober,
Awesome.
Able to obtain a passport.
Ooh.
Should I say the negative or just stick with the positive?
Positive. Always positive.
Okay. Treats women and children gentle and with love and kindness.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, and that's the non-negotiables list, right?
Yeah, non-negotiables, yes. And
Okay.
I'm just trying to keep it positive.
Yes,
so the heart's desire is music, dance, foreign language, travel, loves family, loves community, and healthy.
Awesome. Okay, and icing on the cake?
Icing on the cake, owns own business, excellent with money, tall, handsome, chocolate skin tone, loves natural hair, locks, great sex, proud of own culture, whether it be Caribbean or Latino.
Awesome. And I have to ask this question as a love coach. Why is great sex icing on the cake?
Because the reason why it's icing on the cake, because I mean, it's important to me, but it's not an end all to be all, because I just feel like we can learn to please each other, I think. And so maybe we might start out not really knowing, what works for us, but then as we get closer together, then we can, know how to please each other better.
And you bring up a good point there, my dear, which is relationships are all about growth. And when Ron and I first started dating, our first kiss, I was like, ugh, it's not the greatest. You'll probably kill me for saying this, but that's fine. Because it's true. We learn each other. We learn with our partners. And so I'm actually really glad I asked you that question, because you're right. Like, great sex can be icing on the cake because it's something you learn together over time as you learn each other's bodies and rhythms and what you like. So that's awesome. High five. Yay. Okay, I'm gonna put you back on mute.
Okay.
All right, last chance for sharing this exercise if you would like to. Okay, so step one, preparing yourself to attract love. And as you can imagine, I have to condense every step down to about 25 minutes. So these two exercises right here are a good way for you to just quickly drop into, who am I? What do I want? What's important to me? This is the preparation stage. Now, the cool thing about this activity is you can do it at any time in your life. And I actually suggest you revisit this exercise every 6 months or every year, or anytime your life drastically changes, because everything you have on this list might change, right? Like, think of when you were 18 and what you wanted versus who you are now. So this list is never set in stone. It's something that people generally will work on and evolve and change over time. But the most important thing I do have to, or want to reiterate again with that example of Trish, is to not get caught up in the list if it has to be a certain way. But the most important takeaway is truly knowing your non-negotiables and then understanding where on the spectrum those other desires lie, so that you're not getting caught up in physical attributes that truly don't matter, but they're icing on the cake and it would be nice, right? So let's move on to the next step. And this is the hard part. This is the stuff where you're probably gonna still be working on this after we're done tonight. But it's releasing old patterns and developing the process to align with a high quality match. And we've already experienced a couple of the blocks that some of you have going on in your head, just from that first exercise. So how do we release those blocks? How do we release old patterns? And my first open-ended question to you, and whether you want to jump on the line or type it in, is why are you single and or not in the relationship of your dreams? And I want you to answer with first thing that comes to your mind. Why are you single? Why don't you have the relationship that you so desperately crave? And when the answer comes to you, feel free to type it in the chat box, write it in your journal, unmute yourself and say it. And it's not meant to be a trick question, but I find that we know, right? It's like, well, why haven't you lost 30 pounds? Well, I haven't decided to eat better and go to the gym on a consistent basis. Why don't you speak Spanish? Well, because I don't consistently study the homework and I don't go to see my tutor, right? Like, we know the answers. So I ask you just one more time. Why are you single? Why aren't you in the relationship of your dreams? Okay, time's up. Type your answers in. Because I refuse to settle and I want to feel 100% happy and I want someone to make me have those butterfly feelings. Awesome. All right, who's next? Throw it at me. Because I haven't met my Mr. Right yet, and I don't want to settle, and I don't want the relationships around me. Fair enough. You see examples of what you don't want, which is hard because that gets into your psyche. That's why TV is so bad. You see all these horrible examples of relationships and people mimic them. All right, what else? All right, so at least, I settled with garbage for a long time. And now I finally gave myself permission to be happy now. Cool. All right, this is all good stuff. So on one hand, we have the I refuse to settle, which kind of speaks towards, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and we can jam in this a little bit. Oh, we got one more. If we mirror what we attract to a certain extent, then I think I might be a bit emotionally unavailable because I'm afraid of being hurt in a very devastating way. Yeah, boom, exactly. So on the surface, it's I haven't met Mr. Right, I don't want to settle. But underneath, I'm emotionally unavailable because I'm afraid of being hurt in a very devastating way. So that's what we want to get into. We want to get into the what's under the surface. So on top, I'm so strong, I'm so powerful, I don't want to settle, I haven't met the right one yet. But I encourage you to get deeper, like we just heard there, which is I'm actually emotionally unavailable because I'm scared of being hurt. And that was me for very many years. I was scared of being hurt, so I was emotionally unavailable and I put walls up. And that takes a little bit of some pretty deep self-introspection or self-reflection or just self-awareness of self and what's going on and truly what are you scared of? And that's my next question for you all watching me live or the replay. What are you scared of? So why are you single? But then what are you scared of? And that typically is when I'm scared of being hurt. I'm scared of being left. I'm scared of being cheated on. And when these fears come up, now we can start to pull them apart and realize, well, what's the limiting belief? So I'm scared of being left. Why are you scared of being left? Well, because my dad left my mom. Okay. Or because my ex left me because I had gained weight. So now I'm keeping on this excess weight because I'm scared of losing the weight and meeting a guy that's just going to leave me like my ex did. So I want you to unravel this thread. I want you to start to dig a little deeper into the what are you scared of? So take what you wrote about why you're single and go a step deeper and ask yourself what you're scared of. Now, the I refuse to settle, that is a very good one. However, or in addition, I would flip that question around on you and ask you, where are you settling in your life? What are your thoughts, your opinions about ourselves? Because typically we mirror it out into the world. Well, I haven't met anybody that's good enough. I refuse to settle. When ultimately it means I'm not good enough, right? And that's an indicator to that belief system going on underneath the surface. I don't believe I deserve this, or who am I to want to be with my soulmate? No one around me has their soulmate, right? Scared of not being enough for what I want and the quality of man I want as my Mr. Right. Everyone else says how amazing I am. I sometimes agree, but at times I feel like a fraud. Like, am I really that great? I'm afraid of a man taking advantage of my kindness and abusing me. Awesome. So now we're getting into the real juice, the real meat of the matter, the real reason why you're alone, because these fears and insecurities are a front put up by the ego to protect you. Because if you're afraid of a man taking advantage of your kindness and abusing you truly, then your ego is going to protect you and do everything it can to make sure you never meet an amazing man, because your ego knows he'll take advantage of your kindness and abuse you. And again, father was not again, and more. Father was an alcoholic. I have no idea what a happy marriage even looks like. Even more so, the fear of recreating that same scenario of what you saw that you don't want. So as these things come up, this is the time to write a couple of these things down, these fears. And these fears are warranted because of your life experience, right? You see one thing and you create a story around it, which might be, I never want that again, or I want that, or I don't deserve that, whatever your story is based on your experience. So if these are your stories and these are your patterns, and now we're starting to get deeper in the fears, right? Which are, when you get deeper into these underlying belief systems, this is what's running the show. It's not the conscious mind of, oh, I'm the prize, I'm the queen, I'm so amazing, any man would be so happy to have me. Because if below the surface, it's, oh my God, I'm so scared, I'm actually not good enough for a great man. That's going to win. The unconscious, the subconscious, the going on underneath the surface wins every single time. So luckily, we're going to talk about how the hell we pull those weeds out so that what's going on at the surface, the, of course I deserve an amazing man, can win. Scared of not being enough for what I want and the quality of my man. So that right there is a really good one. And the logical answer is, of course, you're going to be good enough for him, because we do attract who we are. And if you're doing the self-work and you're unraveling your self-esteem issues, your self-confidence issues, your self-doubt issues, if you're starting to unravel all of that and truly shed that skin and step into this beautiful, empowered, self-confident woman, you will attract in the same man at that level. Now, to be fair, if you're still down here, lack of self-love, and I'm not saying you do, but for example, lack of self-love, lack of self-confidence, and you meet a man that's way up here and understands his value, you're at a disconnect. Even if you get together, it won't be there for long. So trust me, when you do the work and raise your vibration, you'll be at a completely different level so that the people you meet, you will be in similar vibrations. So I think right now that fear is coming up because you're not yet there. So you're scared you're going to meet this amazing man and not be good enough for him. You might not be, to be completely brutally honest. And it's not that you're not good enough for him. It means it's just that you're at a different vibration. You're at a completely different level of thinking about yourself, right? I allow past experiences to traumatize me, and I punish new men that come into my life. I met an amazing man that I still long for, but I messed it up because of what I've been through. So this is actually a continuation of what I was just saying. So unless you heal your past, you're bound to recreate it. So you might meet this amazing man, but you're still stuck in victim mode because you haven't healed those past issues. And so he might say or do something and you blow up. Whereas if you do the work, you heal, he could say or do something and it doesn't even faze you. So this is a really hard lesson, the man that got away, because you weren't ready for him. You haven't done the healing, the trauma work, so that you can just fully be present in that relationship with him. So I love you and I thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. But this is the stuff that we have to move through, or else you're not ready for that relationship. You have to be willing to face your past and face your demons head on and move through them, even with your significant other, right? Your partner. So now it seems like all of you have a really nice idea of what's in your way, right? That simple question of why are you single? Now we've got some really good answers. Now you know, like, this is the flag saying, hey, look at me, look at me. We have some work to do here. So now you know in particular, like, okay, I really got to work on healing my pain. I got to get over my past. I have to work on my daddy issues. I need to work on trusting men. Okay. I need to work on my self-esteem so that I truly feel like I am the prize and I'm good enough for that match. Okay. So just taking out the bits and pieces of what you shared, now we know, like, these are the things that you in particular need to focus on. These are your issues for growing into soulmate material. All right. So wasn't so bad. Wasn't so scary. Take a deep breath, let it go. Now I ask you this: how do you break your patterns? Because everything you just shared with me right there, or anybody watching the replay, everything you just wrote down, how do you break your patterns? It's one thing to see your pattern, but unless you can break it, then what? Right? So I'll give you the answer to the question. It's meant to be rhetorical. How do we change our patterns? Thoughts and actions. We think a different way, we act a different way, life plays out a different way. If you don't think you're going to get the job because you don't think you're good enough and you don't think you're smart enough and you don't think you'd be good at it, you're not going to apply. So you're not going to get the job. However, if you have the skill sets and you have the degree and maybe you haven't done anything like that before, but you trust yourself and you have enough confidence in your leadership abilities, you apply for the job and you write a killer cover letter and your confidence exudes. And you might even say, hey, I've never done anything like this before, but I have tons of experience and confidence in these avenues. And lo and behold, you get the job. So the best way I truly know of breaking patterns, big or small, is changing thoughts and changing actions. Sometimes we change our thoughts that change our actions. Sometimes we change our actions, which have the effect of then turning around and changing our thoughts. So one of my favorite exercises to do, and that's pulling in the happily ever after theme, is to talk to your inner evil stepmother and talk to your inner fairy godmother. So you're going to take a sheet of paper and draw a line down the middle longwise. On the left side, write evil stepmother says. On the right side, write fairy godmother says. Left side, evil stepmother. This is all of the doubts you have about yourself. This is going to be perhaps all the negative and nasty things people have said to you, especially in the case of an alcoholic father. So close your eyes and put yourself into the proverbial shoes of Cinderella with the evil stepmother yelling at her. And what are those things you hear? And we can be our own worst critics, absolutely. So this exercise probably shouldn't be that hard. I would find it would be easy to close your eyes and say, wow, you're stupid. You're so fat. No man's ever going to like you at your size. You're too kind. You just always get taken advantage of. Oh, you've never even seen a happy relationship. You wouldn't even know how to be in one. Who are you to want a soulmate level relationship? You've never even seen anyone that's been in one. You're not good enough for that. See where I'm going here? So take some time to just be so honest and brutal with yourself. These things, these thoughts that are evil stepmother, that are complete bogus and BS, but we all have them. You're not alone here. I'm sweating. And the interesting thing about this exercise is a lot of us have similar things that our evil stepmothers say, but at the same time, you're going to have very personal ones based on your upbringing, based on relationships that you've had. Because I feel like I'm the only one talking. Cindy, do you feel like sharing just a couple that are on that list? And you can say no, but it'd be great if you want.
That's fine. We're
Yay!
talking about the evil stepmother list, correct?
Yeah, what's a
Okay.
couple of things that bitch is saying?
Okay. Okay. So she's saying chubby, probably won't get married, doesn't deserve it, not ready, and all right looking.
Awesome. Can anybody else relate? Has anybody ever in their head, and I can raise my hands, has your evil stepmother ever said that you're kind of chubby, just sort of average looking, never going to get married? Anybody else, feel free to type in if any of these things are on your list as well. I can tell you they've been on my list. I feel like there's a delay in typing. Okay, so regardless of whether or not they're on anybody else's list, because I can tell you they've been on mine. Oh yeah, definitely. Michelle, fat whore, don't even know how to be a good wife. See? We can say some pretty mean things to ourselves in our heads. Now, so what we're going to do, and Cindy, thank you so much for sharing, is we're going to take these things the evil stepmother says to us, or however you want to refer to her as, and now I want you to imagine that instead you have a fairy godmother. So just like in Cinderella, you have that fairy godmother that's given you that hug, that pat on the shoulder, and what would she say? So in this case, imagine you came home crying from school because the kids at school called you fat. What would your fairy godmother say instead? And I want you to write that on the other side. Same thing, Michelle. Someone screams at you, you don't even know how to be a good wife. You go to your best friend or your proverbial fairy godmother. What would she say instead to console you? And spend a couple of time or a couple minutes, ladies, now flipping these things around. Put yourself in that situation of, what would my fairy godmother say? All right. Who's ready to share a couple? Cindy, do you want to go first since you were the wonderful example in the beginning?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's see. So instead of chubby, the fairy godmother would say more to love.
Ah, yes.
For all right looking, she would say beautiful in your own way. For the probably won't get married, happy wife, happy life. Don't deserve it. It is meant for me.
Awesome. So how did it feel listening to the evil stepmother versus the fairy godmother?
It's like two extremes, negative and positive.
Sure. And which one would you rather listen to?
Fairy godmother.
Yes. Okay. So as you can imagine, the point of this exercise is to show us that at any given moment, we can be a downright jerk to ourselves, or we can be our biggest cheerleader and be the fairy godmother. And so throughout your days, throughout your life, you have that opportunity to choose what you say to yourself and choose who you listen to. If you're getting down in the dumps listening to the evil stepmother, you can flip it around to the fairy godmother. So, for example, Michelle just chimed in, you're a queen, you're amazing. The way in shape you are, you're an amazing wife, right? Like we are the ones that get to choose the records that are going on in our minds. And part of what we're doing tonight is unraveling some of the older stuff that perhaps was put in there not by you. Maybe it was by parents, maybe it was by grandparents, maybe it was by television, media, friends, you name it. Doesn't matter how she got there, but the point is truly, who are you going to listen to moving forward now that you know we have the tendencies of we can go either way. All right. So the next step is going to be, ladies, so for everything you have on the evil or the fairy godmother list, is I want you to circle the ones that you most need to hear. And it might be all of them, but circle the ones you most need to hear and allow those to be your power mantras. Allow those to be the things you say to yourself when you walk by the mirror. Like, hey, hot stuff, you're a queen. You're so amazing just the way you are. You're an amazing wife. You have an amazing body. You're perfect just the way you are. You got a little bit extra cushion for the loving, like whatever it is. I want you to pick those couple that are really that you need to hear in this moment, that you need to start to affirm and put into your mind. Now, the cool thing is that our belief systems are truly nothing more than thoughts that we've thought over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it might have started off at an early age. It might have been something recent. But our thoughts, you think them, you think them, you think them, they eventually sink deep into our subconscious mind and are planted, and they create belief systems. So because we've had this happen to us unconsciously, we now have the power to consciously put new thoughts in our minds. Now, it's not that it's going to necessarily happen overnight that we start thinking a different way, but we absolutely have that power to consciously start to talk to ourselves a different way, to start to treat ourselves a different way, right? So to think differently, to speak differently, to act differently. We 100% in any day have the power to decide to become a different woman through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So if step 2 of the process is changing your actions, because this is just one of the simple ways that we can start to change our thoughts, is by being aware of what we're thinking and consciously deciding to put more energy into those positive thoughts. If we're getting down a negative train of thought, then to shift over into the positive gear again, right? Because now we know what we're up against here. So in what ways can you change action now to get different results? We talked about thoughts, now it's actions. So for example, I was working with a guy, Tom. He didn't think he was attractive enough for the women he was attracted to. So guess what? He never asked him out, which means he never got any dates. After working with him and helping him to realize that he was attractive and he could have an attractive partner, his mindset changed and he realized he could get the girl. And so he would ask them out. Now, before his mindset changed, I actually gave him the task of doing the action before his thoughts matched. So he took the action of, I'm going to ask out the attractive girl, even though I don't think she'll say yes. And she said yes. And that all of a sudden started to change his thought process around, well, crap, maybe I am good enough to get the attractive girl. So it can go both ways. You can change your thoughts, which change your actions, or sometimes you jump ahead and you change your actions, which then validate new ways of thinking. So open-ended question for y'all. What different actions can you take right now, moving forward, to start to get different results, to combat any type of limiting beliefs that are going on, all these reasons why you're single or why you haven't met the one yet? What are actions you could take? And feel free to type them in or to unmute yourself or to raise your hand or to just journal them down. But I want you to now start thinking solution oriented. How are your actions affecting you? If you don't think you're skinny enough to get the guy, you don't think you're healthy enough to get the guy, you don't think you're smart enough to get the guy, well, what actions are you doing to change that? If that's truly a belief system, well, why aren't you at the gym? Why aren't you eating healthier, hiring a personal trainer, enrolling in night school, like whatever it is? These are just some ideas. So for you personally, in your own limiting beliefs, what actions can you take differently? My mugs all say great things on them, like I love you lots, because it's just a reminder, yes, I love me. All right, anybody feel like sharing any actions that they came up with? Because this is actually really helpful. I know I need to truly lose weight in order for my attitude and energy to change. And that's a good one, because it's not necessarily the weight that needs to be lost in order to get the guy, but you nailed it on the head. It's the attitude and the energy, because you start to feel different about your body. You start to think different about yourself. So the weight is more than just the weight. I was fit once upon a time, and the energy and attraction I received was on another level. I attracted men I like. Yes, but don't allow that to be your block, that you have to be a certain weight and look a certain way in order to get the guy, because that's not true. I can listen to foreign language CD every day. I go to the gym daily. Actions: take more classes that make me feel like the quality type of woman to attract the quality man I want. I joined several dance classes. Okay, so these are all great things, right? Like, what are the actions? So it's not enough to just think our way into a different person, but that's a good part. That's a good start. But inspired action. So to allow yourself to take that inspired action into becoming the woman you want to be, or to a punch in the face of those limiting beliefs that are in your way. It's like, you know what? Fine. If my limiting belief is weight, then I'm going to go to the gym. If my limiting belief is, well, how would I meet a man that speaks a foreign language? If I don't even speak a foreign language, I'm going to learn a foreign language. All right. So really important now that we're watching our thoughts, watching our words, and now we're really conscious behind our actions. This last bit, we actually don't have time for tonight in step 2. So I want you to make note that this is what you're going to do over the next couple of days. So the final bit for healing past traumas is you're going to rewrite your love story. And especially in the example of an abusive alcoholic father, because this is painful. Rewriting your love story is coming from so we're, instead of being the victim to what happened, oh, my parents divorced, my father was an alcoholic and an abuser, I was married to a man for 20 years and he was cheating on me the whole time, and then we broke up. So, it's easy to tell our love story that way, but that can be from a very victim point of view. I want you to rewrite your love story only from the point of view that everything was happening for you instead of to you. Quick story. I was working with a woman, Kendra. She's in her late 30s. She was freaking out that she'd never been married, but she'd been engaged 3 times to 3 different men. And to her, that was the worst thing ever. She was like, so close, so close, so close. And so when she told me her love story in the beginning, of course, it was filled with all these ups and downs, and I was engaged, and then it didn't work out, and then I was engaged and found out he was an alcoholic, and then it didn't work out. And so story after story after story, and she was physically distraught. She was crying, she was emotional, she was upset. When we rewrote her love story and talked about how everything happened for her instead of to her, and put her in the powerful position. So thank goddess I found out he was an alcoholic before we got married and I dodged that bullet. That's much more empowering than, oh my God, he was an alcoholic, it was so horrible, and then we broke off the engagement. Like, that's woe is me. So I want you to get really honest about your love story and to rewrite it from the point of view of heroine, no more victimhood. And I don't care how hard it is. Instead, where can you find the blessing? How has it empowered you? How has it gotten you to where you are today and made you the woman you are today? So that's your homework for later. Rewrite your love story only from the positive, how everything happened in your favor. And that's the story you're only allowed to tell moving forward. It's a very empowering process. Don't miss it. All right, shake it off. Oh my God, if you need to stand up and stretch, stand up and stretch, because we're sitting down for a while. Step 3, master the attraction process. All right, this is fun. I've got 3 steps here that we're going to do. So the attraction process, and Cindy was already talking about that, like some of it has to do with the self-confidence, oh man, but when I was skinnier or when my body looked different, I had more confidence. So how can you get more confident in your body exactly as she is today, which is going to help master the attraction process, because confidence is sexy, right? Like if a man comes up to you completely full of confidence and asks you out, you're much more likely to say yes than a man that's like, oh, well, you probably wouldn't ever consider a guy like me, but, you're kind of pretty. Ew, that's not attractive. So confidence is sexy. Confidence is also a big aspect of self-love. It's your self-esteem. And I jokingly refer to my girlfriend, Amy, who says I'm almost arrogant because I'm so self-confident. I'm so self-loving, but I'd rather err on the side of arrogant than not think highly of myself at all. So for this exercise, it's one of my favorites to do, and it's called the I am the prize exercise. And it's a way for you to start to shift your awareness towards everything you love about yourself. And everyone on the call today, you actually, none of you seem like you're struggling like way down in the dumps, can't think of anything nice about yourself. But for people watching the replay, because I've had this come up with some people can't think about anything they like about themselves. In which case, then I would say things you tolerate about yourself, things that are okay, things that you like, things that you don't hate about yourself. And the I am the prize list can be things like, I'm a great mother, I'm a wonderful cook, I've got a great butt, I love my hair, my eyes are beautiful, I'm a fabulous whistler. I had someone say that once on her I am the prize list, and I was like, yes, of course you are. So start your I am the prize list. Go. Just start writing. I'm not going to make you come up with 30 tonight, which is usually what I have people do. I make them write until they have 30. Instead, I'm just going to give you a couple minutes to write as many as you can think of. All right. Michelle, what's a couple of things on your list? If you want to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Okay, I was trying to speed right. Okay, I said I'm beautiful. I'm a great lover. I have a beautiful smile and personality. I'm attractive. My hair and eyes are gorgeous.
Awesome. Woo! I love it. Pratima, what are a couple things that were on your list?
I had great breasts, legs, hair, intelligence, compassion, great circle of friends, great smile, a great job or career, and a great sense of humor.
Cool. And how does it feel when you read this list or say it out loud?
True.
Yay. And I mean, does it feel empowering and uplifting?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, it's kind of weird because like, I mean, clearly there's some self-esteem issue there with the whole, like, am I good enough? But in my day-to-day life, not digging deeper, I think I also have a certain level of arrogance because of what I've achieved and who I am and how I present myself to the world, that people do always, like, they're always so surprised when they hear that I'm not with someone, and they always expect it of me. And then they automatically fall to the cliche of, oh, you must be one of those women who put their career before love. Sure. Because they just don't get it, or they just always automatically assume that I am taken. That sure. I've been told many times that I send out the vibe of I'm taken and I'm not really looking. Mm-hmm. So well, I think in terms of the list of qualities for myself, I do know I'm attractive and I know I dress well and all of these other things, but clearly there's something else going on underneath.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very interesting point as well, that you're giving off the vibe of not being available. And that might be something for you to dig into deeper. Like, are you so, maybe even self-aware, confident in who you are? Could you potentially be sending out the message of, well, I don't need you. I know I'm beautiful. I know I'm a catch.
I don't want the time wasters, I think, too. So it's sort of like, I feel like I want a man who, when he sees me, he's going to have enough self-confidence and he's going to already know who he is and be strong enough in who he is to look at me and say, I'm going to approach her, even if she is taken or married or whatnot. Like, I'm that attracted to this woman and I think she's amazing, and I'm just going to go up and talk to her regardless of even if I think she is taken or not.
Sure. And that's a great point. So I want to dig into that because, for one, it validates the concept that competence is sexy, and we want that in men. We want the men to say, you're hot, I'm coming up to find out if you're taken. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care, I need to find out. Now the second role though, so this goes both ways, and this is where it can get tricky, is so if what we find sexy in a man is that competence, that going after what he wants, what a man finds sexy in a woman is the availability, that energetic come and get me tiger. And so this is a question for you to ask yourself. Are you truly putting out any vibes that say, I'm approachable, come and get me tiger? Or like your friends are saying, I just assumed you were taken, I thought you were taken. Maybe there is something energetically going on underneath the surface that we wouldn't have enough time tonight to dig into, but to just for you to reflect upon. Because once again, the role of the feminine energy is to look good, to smell good, to taste good, to be open and receptive. That's femininity, open and receptive. Whereas masculine energy is like, go after what you want. I see what I want, I'm gonna go get it. And that's what you're saying you want in a man, which is awesome. You want that masculine man that sees what he wants and goes to get it. But are you allowing yourself to be the feminine woman that's, hey baby, come and get me, in a, a very feminine, open way?
And no, I don't think I am open to that, simply because when I was younger in high school, and we would have these high school dances and whatnot, I realized early on that if I actually was very open and approachable, whether I was in high school or in a mall or something like that, I would end up getting a lot of attention that I did not want. And I didn't like to hurt anyone's feelings by saying, no, I don't want to dance with you, or no, I don't want to go out with you. And so then I kind of ended up perfecting what my friends call a frowny face or a bitch face.
Yeah.
and I tend to kind of use it as like an armor, and so to a certain extent, I think I've perfected it a little too well, where it also, I think, hides my vulnerability as well, in terms of if I'm feeling uncomfortable or kind of a little bit out of my depth, that's the face that I tend to present to the world. And then when people get to know me, they're always like, oh my God, you're so warm and friendly. And, but you were initially very unapproachable. And so I certainly am aware of the fact that I'm not particularly approachable, but I sort of feel like my man would be, I don't care. I just see her. I like her. I want her, and I'm coming after her.
Sure.
And so I guess that's sort of where I'm at in terms of working on that.
And guess what? That happens all the time. But men are still human beings with feelings and scared of rejection like the rest of us. So I'm just gently suggesting, throw your man a bone here. And it also sounds like this is a really good opportunity for you to finally heal that issue, the I'm too sexy when you're growing up issue. And instead, how can you receive attention from men and just allow it to be receptive? Like, I feel like I've perfected the art of old men hitting on me to the point where I'm just like, thank you so much, you're so sweet. Or, men asking me out in anywhere, truly. And I'm just like, wow, that's so sweet. Like, I really appreciate you asking. I'm completely flattered. You just made my day. But, I'm in a relationship, or I'm just not interested, or, so how can you use that as a vehicle for your own spiritual growth of being okay with being sexual, with being sexy, with being an attractive woman, but also setting the boundaries and being able to say no? Like, this is a really huge opportunity for you, because it's not right or fair for you to hide your sexuality and put up your front when you're actually a very beautiful woman. Like, I flirt with old men all the time because I also recognize it feels good to be flirted with by the opposite sex, by someone that's pretty, but it doesn't have to go anywhere. So how can you start to untangle the, because he's hitting on me or smiling at me or he's coming up to talk to me, it must mean he wants me, when it truly is an energetic exchange?
Okay.
So I want you to just think about that more, dig into that more, maybe just the process of allowing yourself to make random eye contact with men throughout the week and just smile. You know, like just break down that barrier of, I need to have this wall between me and you.
That sounds good.
Good. I like
It's
it.
a little scary.
Yeah, I know.
But that sounds really, really good in terms of opening myself up.
Yeah. Allow it to be your homework, and even allow yourself to have a reply you're going to say if, God forbid, the unthinkable happens and a man asks you out. Oh, what am I going to say? You know, just allow yourself to say, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, I know how hard it is to ask out a stranger. I am totally not in the space for a relationship right now, if that's honest. Or maybe it's, you know what? Sure. Thank you so much for having the courage to ask me out. Let's go have a cup of coffee sometime. Right?
Okay.
Because you're also telling the universe, I'm open, I'm available.
Well, I did accept a coffee date from a guy I ordinarily would not find attractive.
Good.
But I thought it's been a while since I've actually gone out, because I've kind of been a little hung up with a guy who I think is emotionally unavailable at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of thought, enough, I need to like just move forward. And I got out of my comfort space with the guy at work, and we're still friends and everything, but he's confusing. And I just kind of thought, no, I need to show the universe I'm really ready to move on. And if it happens to be him and he comes back around, great.
Sure.
But if he doesn't, I'm still putting myself out there and moving forward. So
perfect. And you know, part of the exercise I just assigned to you is telling the world I'm emotionally available, which also means emotionally mature, which means emotionally mature enough to handle a man's sexual energy towards you that you're not interested in, and being able to just say, thank you, but no thank you. I appreciate the interest, and not feeling bad about that.
Right. Super. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Put you back on mute. Okay. So with that exercise, the I am the prize, continue it. Add to it every day. When you're feeling down about yourself, read it again. Have it by your bedside table, just as often as you need to. Because once again, it is always this choice of what you're focusing upon. Are you focusing on all the things you don't like about yourself? Or are you focusing on the things you do like about yourself? And it's always going to be a constant choice. Now, the next bit that, once again, I want to be conscious of our time. This is going to be your next bit of homework that you're actually going to do later, is you're going to write 2 letters of forgiveness. And this is a big part in the healing journey. The first is going to be a letter of forgiveness towards those that have wronged you. So it might be parents, might be past lovers, could even be siblings. It could be someone you hold a grudge from when you were a little kid. But a big part of aligning with your soulmate and your soulmate level love is letting go of all the crap that's holding you down. And so we've talked a lot about those limiting belief systems, but energetically, what are you holding on to? Who are you holding grievances against? So later on, after this call, you're going to write a letter of forgiveness to everyone. That's just, you're holding on. Then the second letter you're going to write is a letter of forgiveness to yourself. And this is something we don't often do, but ultimately, if you're forgiving all these other people for doing the best they could at the time, it's time for you to now forgive yourself for not yet being evolved enough to be in this awesome soulmate level relationship, for all the mistakes you've made along the way, for all the men you slept with that you wish you didn't have. Now is time to step up and to forgive yourself for who you were and all those choices you made, and whether you want to call them mistakes or not, because they brought you to where you are today. So your second piece of homework is to write that letter of forgiveness towards others. And I want you to finish it with, I love and forgive you. And then write that letter of forgiveness for yourself, and also finish it with, I love and forgive you. It's going to be a very powerful, powerful process. The last bit on the master the attraction process that I wanted to cover, and it's a little tiny little thing that we've already talked about a little bit, which is watch your mouth. Positive self-talk. How are you talking about yourself? So the entire master the attraction process stems from positive self-talk. And as I said before, what you think and how you talk to yourself is truly going to affect your actions. So I want you to become your biggest cheerleader. I want you to really start being wary of what you say. Okay? What you say in your head and what you say in your mouth, out of your mouth, because it is going to affect your actions, your habits. So write that down, circle it, star it, put a heart around it, whatever you need to do. This is a very, very big part of the process. It's how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself, what you think about yourself. Oh my God, ladies, this is it. Step 4, get ready to manifest your love. So as you can see, we've done quite the journey. So the last bit also has 3 steps. Now, I received some emails from ladies, some from you, some from people not on the call, but one in particular, and a woman asked me, she says, how is this any different than Ariel Ford? I did her stuff years ago and I manifested an amazing man, but he was an alcoholic. It's like, okay, fair enough. So you did some work before, you manifested a man who was great, but not quite great because he was an alcoholic, he didn't treat you well, and now you're not together. And this was 20 years ago. And what have you done since? So to kind of call her out on her story, so she tried this in the past and it didn't work for her. So why would it work now, right? So there's a lot of things that are going on underneath the surface, and I would wager that you all on the call tonight or anybody watching the replay, there's been things you've tried in the past, but they obviously haven't worked, or else you wouldn't be on a Manifest Your Soulmate call, right? So why isn't it working for you in particular? So the first bit is the whole whipped cream on garbage syndrome, which is the whipped cream is the pretty affirmations, the I am the prize list, the like, I'm totally good enough, I'm so amazing. But the garbage is the underlying belief systems. And that might be the alcoholic, abusive father that told you you'd never amount to anything and you're not good enough, right? So there is that aspect of what's going on underneath the surface. And we started to tap into that tonight. Why are you single? Okay, but what are you scared of? And that's giving you that indicator into those limiting beliefs that are going on underneath the surface. So your whipped cream on garbage syndrome. Now, the second thing that could be going on for you is 2 trains going in the opposite direction. So let's say in the case of a positive affirmation or things we've talked about tonight, I'm beautiful, I'm lovely, I'm the prize. But right when you think about that, your mind goes, yeah, but come on, you're not really pretty. You still have to lose 30 pounds. So you have this positive thought, you have this negative thought at the same time. They cancel each other out. They don't actually go anywhere. And so you're not getting anywhere. I'm amazing, I suck. I'm amazing, I suck. I'm pretty, I'm not pretty. I'm so pretty, I need to lose weight, right? So it's an equal and opposite force, and you're stuck, you're not getting anywhere. And then the last bit is you actually haven't given it enough time. So we've talked about some amazing stuff tonight, but a lot of times people give up too soon. Depending how old you are, 20s, 30s, 40s, how many years have you been creating the person you are? How many years have stuff been sinking down into your psyche, into your self-conscious? Especially if this stuff started in childhood. So I don't want to be the old naysayer, like you got to do this for 40 years, because that's not true. Change happens in an instant. But what they don't tell you is all the tiny little baby steps you took to get up to that point where, boom, everything changed. So for those of you that are like, why isn't this working for me? Well, those are the 3 reasons that I tend to see as to why it's not working for people. So don't give up. Give it time. Truly working on your thoughts and your actions and having more going in the positive direction than the negative direction is going to make slow traction and progress. But like anything, it's exponential. And as your train starts going, it starts off slow, right? Think chugga, 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 chugga. But then when the train starts going, it goes faster and faster and faster and faster. So where you are right now, we're talking about making those baby steps or continuing making the baby steps wherever you're at and pulling in these pieces and trusting that the momentum will build. It's like a snowball going downhill. So the momentum will build. So law of attraction is the premise that we attract who we are. We get what we give. It's as if the entire universe is a big sparkly mirror and it's reflecting back to us who we are and what we say and what we think. about ourselves. And the law of attraction works for your underlying belief systems. It's why just affirming in the mirror, I am worthy, I'm beautiful, I'm good enough, isn't enough. And it's challenging because it's also a big part of what I teach, because it is what you have to do. It's part of the package, but it's not the entire package. And so one of the biggest things I've seen to work with the subconscious mind, because guess what? Your conscious mind's one thing, but the subconscious mind is running the show. The subconscious mind is where those underlying belief systems are happening that are causing you to have this life, this reality that you have. It's because of what you think about yourself and what you've made up about reality. So let's say you grew up in poverty with really poor parents and you find yourself struggling to make ends meet. Well, chances are as a kid, you looked around you and thought, this is reality. This is how it is. And so that's what you created. Whereas, gosh, maybe you grew up with very wealthy parents and you were used to being on the yacht and going to private schools, and your parents never told you no because they had so much money they could say sure. So then you grow up with a mindset thinking everything's obtainable. Of course, it's just money. I will get that. So it's a completely different mindset of I could never have that, it's too expensive, versus, oh, of course I could have that. But the only difference is mindset. Neither one is right or wrong. It's our reality that we have experienced, and then we've created a thought process around it. So the way to begin to change those subconscious beliefs, which is like the cream of the creme of what we're talking about tonight, is to get into that subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is visual and it's feeling based. So our subconscious mind can create with visions or with feelings. And the cool thing is that you can actually use guided visualizations. You can create a vision board. You can read your, what was that the list we did in the very beginning? Oh, what would your perfect life look like? And you were all like, oh my God, I felt so good. That right there is starting to reprogram the subconscious mind. The more you put yourself into that feeling state of what you do want. And so when we talk about affirmations, and if you're just in your conscious mind, they're not going to do too much good. But if you're down in the subconscious, maybe your eyes are closed and you're visualizing your perfect life. Now you're bringing in the feelings and the emotions. And that might be when you do your affirmation work, or you create a vision board of the house and the car and the guy and the travel and the language and the music, and you're looking at it and you're allowing yourself to sink into the feeling of what it would feel like to have that life and to be with that person. That's how you get down into the subconscious. You can do guided meditations, guided visualizations, self-hypnosis, which once again, we don't have time for that stuff tonight. But those are ideas of things that actually do work, and you're not just stuck up here in the conscious mind. So the biggest takeaway for that bit is that your subconscious mind is visual and it's emotional. So that's why something from your childhood can stick with you your entire life, because it was highly emotionally charged. Or maybe it was highly visual. And in the case of an alcoholic parent, like you were seeing such vivid things and you were feeling such strong emotion that you formed a belief around it. And so the best way I know of to overpower that is to start to create new, strong feelings, new, strong visualizations, to understand that if the subconscious mind is highly visual and highly emotional, then we as women, being emotional creatures, we can use that to our advantage. We can focus our energy, our awareness, our attention on our good feeling emotions. Instead of our focus on why it hasn't worked in the past and why men have been horrible and why it hasn't worked out and why you're still single and how you still have to lose the weight, right? So instead of that focus, you get that choice to, as many times as you want throughout the day, get excited that he is on his way and you are doing the work and you're evolving into this beautiful, amazing human being that's totally ready right now for the one. Life sucks. He's not here. Oh my God, I'm so excited. He's on his way. I'm doing everything I can on a daily basis. I'm doing my affirmations. I'm writing in my journal. I'm focusing on the good. If I feel crappy, I look at my love list and I make myself feel better. I'm doing all I can. I'm so excited. I'm not going to focus on that. Someone asked me about my ex. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about him. Instead, I'm talking about where I'm going and what I want. Oh, this sad story? Don't care. Already forgot about it. Instead, let me tell you how I'm so empowered and why I'm the hero in my story and how this is going on and this makes me happy and that makes me happy. So you see where I'm going here? Like the getting ready to manifest your love, the final bit of pulling it all together is that you can no longer focus essentially on the shit, the sludge, the past, the everything that did not work for you. Because if you want to focus on the same old story, you'll continue to get that story. It'll continue to play out in your life. It's like Einstein says, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And so the true power of everything I'm talking about this evening, of really getting what you want, is your choice of where you focus your energy. The story you tell, the thoughts you think, the actions you take. And you have that choice. Am I going to focus on the fear, the pain, everything that's happened in the past, or am I going to focus on the hope, the love, on what I want to happen? And all of these exercises are just different ways to do that, to start to create new neural pathways in the brain. And over time, it gets easier. Over time, someone that used to think badly about herself and talk badly about herself no longer does that because those neural pathways in the brain are no longer strong. Because she stopped doing it. She started forming these pathways of I love myself and I am amazing and I honor myself and I no longer date those men. And so these pathways become stronger, and the stronger they become, the easier it is for the woman to think that way and to act that way. So it's just training the brain is truly what all of this is. Okay, so let's recap everything we went over tonight. So the 4-step process: preparing yourself to attract in a great love, which means knowing what it is that you want and being okay with the fact that you deserve it. Second, releasing old patterns and developing the process to align with a high quality match. Understanding the evil stepmother in your head and shifting the focus to the fairy godmother and what she says and changing your actions. Now the homework, rewriting your love story. Third step, the mastering the attraction process. And that's all about boosting your self-confidence. I am the prize list. The homework was writing that letter of forgiveness towards yourself and other, because that will truly shed some of that baggage that's holding you down, some of that past ickiness against opposite sex or even same sex, whatever it is. And then of course the positive self-talk, the watching your mouth and that attraction process. And then the final bit, that getting ready to manifest your love, truly boils down to where you're putting your focus and attention. Are you getting excited about what's on the horizon, or are you allowing yourself to be trapped down into the bog of what you've experienced in the past? So the recap of those 4 steps that we've gone through tonight, and of course your homework for moving forward. I want to open it up for about 5 to 10 minutes if questions remain before I wrap it up and tell you about potential next steps of what could be on your horizon. So of everything we went over, do we have any questions or any comments, any concerns, any reflections? Like, you've still got a little bit of time with me for some coaching to figure out what could be going on. Or if you just want to say, Emerald, I love you, that's fine too. I'll take it. I'll take some love. Don't be shy. Was there any, like perhaps one of the steps that you're still stuck on, that you have questions about, that you want more guidance on? I mean, I realize that 2 hours is a short time to dig into all this, but the journey is meant to continue after tonight's masterclass.
Emerald, this is Pratima.
Hi.
Hi, I wanted to just ask something. So I guess through this process, as we go through this, because one of my main issues is that I tend to have a problem meeting men who I'm actually attracted to and who I'm actually interested in dating. And so, as I mentioned before, I tend to sort of not really want to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time. And so I guess or I guess my question is, as I'm going through these steps, I suppose part of it is being more aware of just who's around me, or like, I don't know, I still feel like I don't want to be wasting my time or their time. And so how do I sort of deal with that idea of like not really meeting or finding the men who are around me or in my sort of, I guess, peripheral sort of vision on a day-to-day basis? You know, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? I mean, obviously I'd be taking more classes of interest to me and expanding my horizons in various ways. But, you know, I've done that as well in the past, especially last year. And each class I take, there never seems to be anyone in there that I'm particularly attracted to or interested in.
Sure. And this is a great question. And so my own personal story, and the interesting thing is, the more I tell this story, the more other people have stepped up with very similar stories, which is this. So we have the physical attraction. And for myself personally, how it manifested is I would meet these men that I was so head over heels with, and he must have been the one, and the passion was there, and it was fiery, and he was awesome. And we'd fizzle out just as quickly as we began. And the thing is with Ron, the very interesting thing is he was the very first person that I didn't have that intense fire or chemistry with. And to be bluntly honest, I wasn't like, he wasn't my type. I really wasn't attracted to him in the beginning, but he had enough confidence to ask me out. I had enough brilliance to say yes and actually talk to him on the phone and get to know him. And through an actual 6-month process of him courting me, I actually fell head over heels for him and now think he's extremely attractive. But with my blinders on in the beginning, like him just walking into the bar, I didn't give him a second look. But it just so happened I was his server at the time, that I had to talk to him, that I had to get to know him, that he had, you know, that he became interested in me. So one of the first things I'm not saying you can't have it all and you can't have this man that you're totally head over heels with from day one, because that might happen. But more and more I hear stories where actually a lot of the women weren't head over heels in love with the physical attributes of their man from the beginning, which led to him pursuing him a bit more, her not getting so caught up in the emotional and the physical bit, him, you know, having to do the work to quote unquote prove himself and win him over, which is the dynamics of the masculine and feminine. So all that being said, I just give you these examples that it might open your mind to the possibility that when you meet him, you might not be head over heels in love with him physically. That might develop over time. Or when you meet him, you might be head over heels in love with him physically. But from my experience, those are the relationships that tend to fizzle out, especially if she is more attracted to him than he is to her. Does that help, or do you still have questions on that?
No, it certainly does help. It's just, you know, I think part of my current problem, as I mentioned, that there's someone at work who you know, I've been interested in, and he certainly does share a certain level of interest, but there's this emotional and availability thing that's happening, I think. And I've gone out of my comfort zone. I've actually asked him out and whatnot, and he handled it really well. We're still friends and everything. And he's actually been showing more interest now that I'm kind of like, okay, I'm kind of pulling back. And, but I guess what with this particular situation is that he actually checks a lot of the boxes for me in terms of what I consider to be, you know, pretty close to Mr. Right for me.
Sure.
And obviously I would need to get to know him better on a more like intimate level. But I feel like walking away from that, when you kind of have that in front of you as a constant reminder, and then sort of going out with someone who you're not really particularly feeling that feeling with, I just think it's sort of difficult, right? Like to turn the mindset to that. It's not to say that I'm not going to try necessarily, but it's just it's just a different way of looking at it, I guess.
Well, let me ask you this, because actually something similar came up with a male client I was working with. Would you say highly physically attractive or a high sexual attraction to him is actually a non-negotiable for you?
Yes, I have that actually written down.
Okay, so this is actually great clarity. So disregard everything I said. If it is truly a non-negotiable, then bam, you know it. You know that if you're not highly attracted to this person, you're wasting your time, you're wasting his time. Second thing,
okay.
yeah. So flip on my head everything I just said. If it's a non-negotiable, and there's no shame in that at all. Like I said, when I was working with a male client, I was like, dude, don't be ashamed of that. If that's on your non-negotiable, that's on your non-negotiable. It's just how you're wired. It's fine. Now, I'm sure funny though, life is going to throw you a guy that you're not attracted to that you fall head over heels for, but maybe not, I don't know. Second thing though, that I just want to say, this example of this guy at work, you said he checks off so many of the boxes, but is one of your boxes to be with a guy that's emotionally unavailable?
No, and I feel like he's reflective of where I'm coming from as well, because even though, as I mentioned earlier on, a huge part of me, I mean, I do want to have this relationship and I do want to have this soulmate relationship, but I think it's my garbage under the fluff stuff that's being reflected back to me and showing me that, do you really want it, or are you still kind of scared about it? Like, what if he were to turn around now and to ask you out and you start dating? Like, and so that certainly does give me a little bit of, I mean, I would be super excited and great, but there is certainly the feeling of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah, and here's the thing. This man, bless him, because he is a wonderful reflection of where you're at and what you need to work on. Because if you're truly not emotional available, if you're truly scared, then you need to dig into those fears. What are you really scared of? Are you scared of he's going to one day leave you and you're left alone and you gave your heart away and it wasn't reciprocated? Like, this is the opportunity now for you, my dear, to dive deep into, what are you scared of? Why are you emotionally unavailable? What's the worst that could happen? And when you play the what's the worst that could happen game, then you play it down to the very end and you find, oh, it's actually not that bad. So if the worst that could happen is he leaves you and you were totally in love with him, well, to be fair, you're a strong, beautiful, successful woman that could find another man that, holy crap, I finally got over my emotional issues to the point where I was able to attract in a man and he left, but I'm so much stronger than I was before and I survived, which means I can do it again and I can do it right the next time. So play the what if game and get down to the very end of what you're scared of and unravel it to the point where there's nothing left to be scared of anymore.
Right. And like I said, I know, like, working through this, I think it's going to really help in terms of my own clarity moving forward with respect to that issue, because I really thought I had a handle on it, but clearly I don't.
But that's great. And that's why these things come up, to help you realize, no, you haven't healed this yet. There's still stuff there.
Yeah, I think it's just that whole idea of fear of failure and being older and then, you know, failing at it and then having to start back again. And, you know, but,
I could tell you so many stories though. Like, for example, a woman I worked for in Ecuador, she and her husband, I lived there in my early 20s and I managed their retreat center. He died. Meredith is in her late 60s. So of course she's like, I'm done for. I'm an old cooch. She meets an amazing man in his 70s that's a better match for her than her first husband was, that she was married to for years, that they built this retreat center in Ecuador. And now she's happily ever after. And she acts like a schoolgirl again. Now she's in her 70s and she was all set on, I'm never going to meet someone new. I'm dried up old garbage. So these are societal limiting beliefs placed in your head. Age has nothing to do with your ability to make more money, to change your body, to meet an amazing person, to pick up and move across the country. Like, your age doesn't have anything to do with it, but your mindset does.
right.
So just bless it that all of these things are coming in for you to realize, oh, there's another block, time to clear it. Like, that's BS, time to move on.
Right. Okay, thank you. And can I just ask you quickly, what does your necklace say?
It says Carpe Diem.
Oh, okay.
My partner's like, does that say caterpillar? No, Carpe Diem, seize the day.
I couldn't quite tell. It's not coming through sharp enough as of an image on my system here.
Yeah, but now you know.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay, Michelle typed in a question. How to stick to the non-negotiable? Should I just take what I can get? No, I'm 42. I feel like I'm running out of time. No. So I told that story. Absolutely not. Those are fears. Those are ego. The story I told you of Meredith was one of an entire toolkit of like a million stories I have. So you need to start looking for examples of how it could work and recognize that that's just a fear. It's like me saying, oh my God, I'm 42. I could never make any more money. Oh my God, I'm 42. I'll never be able to buy another purse again. So I need to buy them all right now. Like, no, the age is a construct in your mind. And I wish I could like somehow reach through the screen and like shake you because like your age has nothing to do with it. It truly doesn't. And I get it. Like as we women, we get older, and especially if you want to have kids, you start to freak out about the age thing. But you do not want to freak out and have kids with the wrong person. Am I right? You'd be better off being alone. You'd be better off adopting. You'd be better off having a kid on your own. So it's time to truly get honest with what you really want. And you also need to recognize that, sorry, there is a bigger plan above you, and you might really want kids, but maybe you're not meant to in this life, right? Think of all the people that can have kids and go through fertility counseling and coaching, and it's so stressful and it costs so much money, and in the end, they don't have any kids. And then years later, when they stop trying and they have adopted kid, boom, they have kids, right? So there's this fine line between try to force it all into your box of what you think your life should be, and letting go and just enjoying the ride. And that's what I'm asking you all to do here tonight, to play that fine line between this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, but enjoying the process in the time and trusting that whatever you manifest will be better than what you had planned. And whenever I set my intentions, whenever I manifest, my overriding principle is this or something better. It helps me to relieve my pressure, my stress of it has to be created exactly how my mind has conceived it to be, the perfect creation. Instead, it's this or something better, this or something better. So I allow the universe to surprise and delight me and to this or something better, right? To give me these miracles that I'm asking for. So all that being said, next steps. You've got your homework. You've got some of these things to do. And this is all masculine. So this is the do. But you also need to allow yourself to be open, to be feminine, to receive the miracles of the universe, to look for ways that things are working in your favor. Now, I also wanted to throw out 3 different routes of potentially working with me. If you liked this and you're wondering, well, what's next? Like, where's the next class or event or what have you? So I have a couple spots in my private coaching practice. I can't guarantee they'll be there if you're watching the replay. However, I have group coaching that launches once or twice a year, depending on the year. So that's another way. And then I also have my 8-week course, Attract the One. It's an online course, 8 modules, 8 videos, whole bunch of exercises. It's kind of like this, but I've recorded it. And I'll make it really simple for you. I'll just send you a link afterwards that can either, hey, put me on the waiting list for group coaching, or Emerald, I want to work with you one-on-one and have an application call, or oh my God, that 8-week coaching, group coaching or 8-week online program sounds awesome. So I'll send you the links if you're actually, or if you're just wondering like, what's the next step? What's more? But other than that, you have my email. I've reached out to you. I'll send you occasional tips of love from here on out. You can be on the mailing list, and I am essentially your best friend, your advocate here in the process, because I believe in you and I know you can manifest whatever it is you desire as soon as you stop blocking yourself from having whatever it is that you want. So with all that being said, I'm sending you love whenever it is you're watching this and wherever it is you're watching this. And I just hope you have a beautiful night.